Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Well, now, after the showmanship of last week's Republican convention in Cleveland, all eyes are now turned here to Philadelphia, where the Democrats are gathering this week, and Hillary Clinton is expected to be formally nominated as that party's presidential candidate after naming Tim Kaine as her running mate. Well, Holly Shulman is a former communications director for President Obama's campaign. She was also the spokeswoman for the DNC, and she's with me now, and a very good morning to you. So, I mean, let's look at the big picture here, because your party's on the brink of selecting the first ever female presidential candidate.
Yes, I mean, as we say, Philadelphia has a history of making history, and, you know, we're about to nominate something that's very important to the people of this nation, the first female president of the United States who will go on to be the president of the United States come January. So we're pretty excited about it. And it's going to be a big moment all around. And
tell us about the shape of the convention, so to speak. We saw an extraordinary convention from the Republicans. I don't know what you made of it. Well, in terms of the organisation, some of the speakers, it seemed at times chaotic, a lot of noise.
Definitely.
Is Democrats going to be a bit different?
Yeah, I would say that's going to be about the opposite. It was extraordinary for all the wrong reasons. You know, this was a disaster that they had on that stage. At our convention, you're going to see us lay out a positive vision for what we're actually going to do for the country, raising the minimum wage, debt-free college, expanding Social Security.
So much more policy.
Yeah, I think a lot more policy, because voters are looking for not just what is the problem, but what is the solution, and that's what Democrats have this year.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? And they're also looking for a bit of sunshine in their lives, one should suspect, after that blast they got from Donald Trump in his acceptance speech there. It was doom, gloom, and disaster, both at home and abroad.
Yeah, it's a lot about making people scared, right? And the difference is going to be pretty clear. I think the other difference that you're going to see is a forceful endorsement of Hillary Clinton, which is something you did not see Republicans forcefully endorse their nominee from the stage last week. And with President Obama taking the stage, Vice President Biden, these are big names. These are people everyone knows all around the world.
Well, who else should we watch out for? I suspect Bill's going to turn up as well, isn't he?
I expect he might be there too. But we're also going to see an introduction of Tim Kaine, who's had a long career in public service. He's not very well known outside of Virginia yet, but that's about to change.
I wanted to ask you about that appointment, what it symbolises, because we saw that bitter campaign to get the nomination for Hillary Clinton against Bernie Sanders, and her tacking left on many issues. But he comes right back in there as a centrist, and particularly this issue of trade, of international trade deals, and seen as too close to Wall Street as well in some quarters.
I think that he's had a long career in public service. He's pushed for policies that really help the people of Virginia, and I think he's going to be a great partner in this campaign for Hillary Clinton. In 2008 we had a very divisive primary, but people at the end came together around the convention, and we're ready to move forward, and I think that this year will be the same.
But just on those issues, I mean, let me phrase it another way. I mean, has Hillary Clinton deliberately tacked left, and is it the real Hillary Clinton?
I think that Hillary Clinton has been a progressive leader her entire career. And so what you saw is a little bit of a different rhetoric from Bernie Sanders from Hillary Clinton, but on the policies, the main strokes of the broad policies, they were the same. Raising the minimum wage, debt-free college, right? These are all progressive issues that both candidates took on in the primary. You heard them talk about them differently, but overall, these are the policies that define the party, and I think you saw them in the platform also.
But how will the party deal with this issue? And a lot of people, don't vote on policy. We all know that, don't we? They actually don't like the candidate, do they?
Well, I think that...
How's she going to deal with their unpopularity?
I think at the end of the day, voters are going to say, who is the person that's going to look out for me? And yes, we've all seen the polls. I think that there are some questions there on both sides about both candidates, but that just means that the election is still pretty far away. Voters have a lot to learn. And this week when we're in the spotlight, we're going to answer that question. What are you going to do to look out for me?
Well, do you think, I mean, people say, she's quite stiff and technocratic. I mean, do you think, you must have seen her up close and personal. I mean, does she have the capability to come across as more human?
I expect her to electrify the crowd at every every moment, and I expect everyone to make this forceful case for her this week. And by the end, we're going to be excited to make history here.
But it is a big speech for her, isn't it, that acceptance speech? Of course we expect her to electrify the crowd. They're all Democrats, for goodness sake, registered. But beyond that, that speech is when you formally start your campaign, your national campaign for the general election.
Yeah, I mean, she's been laying out policies for a long time. Everyone knows where she stands on the issue. This is a chance for her to make the case that we're stronger when we work together, that we're stronger when we have a vision for the future, and we have hope for what this country could be. And I think people are looking for that.
She's also got one of her trump cards, it's been said, of course, is vast experience of government. But is that potentially a double-edged sword?
You know, I think that the experience will help her lay out the agenda. You know, this isn't just about who's the best campaigner or who's the best winner. In the end, this person has to be president of the United States. And so I think if you look at both candidates and you say, who would be a better president? I think we all know that Donald Trump has failed to take a single position on any issue. He's taken multiple positions in one day on some issues. No one wants him being in charge of our national security. I mean,
But it's about that feeling again, isn't it? It's back to feeling that, Donald Trump, and it's been demonstrated by the support he got to get the nomination, that he says, I'm on your side, and many, many people believe that. With Hillary Clinton, do they not just think, well, you're on Washington's side, you've been there so long, you are the insider's insider?
I mean, but look at what they're fighting for. That's the difference. And so when you say Donald Trump is fighting to ban people because they have a particular religion from coming into the United States, right, versus Hillary Clinton, who wants to fight for all Americans. When you say Donald Trump is going to repeal the minimum wage in this country, while Hillary Clinton wants to raise it, right? These are the issues that people care about. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to have people look to these issues, look to the things that they care about. How am I going to pay for college? How am I going to feed my family? Right? These are what people are discussing at home, and there are
Holly,
answers.
but there are plenty of people in the United States who think she's a criminal, that she should be locked up after Benghazi, after the private emails. We heard it on a daily basis at the Republican convention.
Right, and that's the only place you're hearing about it. So, I think these answers have come from her. She's gone above and beyond answering the questions, and I think most Americans are really looking for some solutions and not just naming problems. And I think that's going to be the difference that you see this week.
Okay, thank you very much for setting the scene for us, Holly Shulman there, from the Democrat.
I've been getting away with it all.